Hey there, it's Steve from Serious Keto, and this is the Not So Serious Keto video podcast. Can you believe it is only 2 more days until Christmas? At least according to my Chalk Zero Advent calendar. I'm thinking maybe I need to start pacing myself a little bit better on that. Actually, it won't matter that much because there's only 2 chocolates left. On the subject of Christmas, however, these are just some random thoughts. First off, how many times a day do you think you wind up hearing Mariah Carey's All I Want for Christmas Is You? I think I heard it twice just at the grocery store today. Another thing at the grocery store is the Salvation Army bell ringer. And this is something, I don't know if any of you have ever done this. I have done it. But prior to being a bell ringer for the Salvation Army, I was a little bit, I don't know how I would describe it. I didn't generally tend to make eye contact with them. I don't know. I guess I thought they were just homeless people that the Salvation Army gave a bell to and let them ring. But once you actually do it, your entire perspective changes. Because the people that are doing it generally are volunteers or from some sort of volunteer or charitable organization. For me, it was when I was part of the Rotary Club. And it's really pretty fascinating, just the way people behave towards you. Some are just super duper friendly and they're so excited to see you. You get others that were like I used to be, which was, they wouldn't make eye contact, or they would make up all kinds of excuses, like, oh, I already paid and you're not getting any money from me. I mean, some were just outright sort of mean about it or belligerent. Other people would be like, oh, yeah, I'll catch you on the way back out. And then on their way out, they're like, oh, yeah, I paid with a debit card, so I don't have any cash. Like we care. Honestly, I found that I didn't really need explanations as to why people weren't putting money in the bucket. Didn't matter. Now, I did have a really, really cool experience once where a guy showed up, actually 2 people showed up, independent of one another. One guy showed up with a guitar, and then a little while later, a different guy showed up with a harmonica. And both of these were very good at their instruments, but the guy with the harmonica was just amazing. And he knew every single Christmas song you could imagine. And we actually wound up having a crowd that started to form around the little red bucket, and everybody joined in and was singing Christmas carols. It was super cool. So my opinion of the bell ringer has changed entirely from just being that annoying ding sort of thing to now, these are people. They're out there braving the elements for a couple of hours just for a donation. So think of it that way the next time you see a Salvation Army bell ringer. Last week during the podcast, I teased the release of my Keto Chow flavor, which now I can tell you is the pecan sticky bun of ultimate awesomeness. I can tell you that because the next day we officially announced it and it went on sale. And I am pleased and proud and humbled to tell you that this was the best-selling new flavor in the history of Keto Chow. It's kind of mind-blowing to me, honestly. Chris and Miriam Bear ordered enough of this. I don't know how long they thought it was going to last. I'm assuming probably months, because it takes anywhere from 2 to 6 months to do a reorder to get it fulfilled. And in the first day, we sold almost 2/3 of it. Pretty close to 2/3. And by the end of the week, by Friday, they were down to just 28% left of their original massive order. So Chris had to call an emergency meeting with their producer and find out, how soon can we start getting more of this pecan sticky bun of ultimate awesomeness flavor back in stock. So pretty cool. Pretty good stuff. And by now, I suspect a number of you have already received it. I know some of you have because you've left comments telling me how much you like it, and that means the world to me. I'm glad people are enjoying my flavor of Keto Chow. Now I got to get to work on the other 2 flavors that are in my brain. And they're both savory flavors. And I think I really hope I can pull them off, because I think they are going to have some significant cooking and baking sort of applications involved. And that's all I can tell you right now. But thanks to everybody who bought it. Thanks to everybody who reviewed it and have enjoyed it. And yeah, I think that's it for that topic. One of the things that I will probably be doing a video on soon, I don't know, will I do a video on it, or will I just have it be part of a podcast topic? Boy, tough decision. This may or may not be a future video, but it's obviously going to be a podcast topic because I'm talking about it right now, which is the resistant starch videos that I've done. After I did that purple rice video, I've decided I'm done. Now, whether that decision sticks or not, it's hard to say. But I feel like I'm done trying to take starchy things that should be from our previous life. We shouldn't be trying to find ways to eat rice or eat some of these super carby things when we've kind of gotten to a point now where there are legitimate substitutes for it. So for rice, one could argue, is riced cauliflower really that good? I don't mind it. I kind of enjoy it. There's also a company that makes a hearts of palm rice that I've tried. I'm trying to decide exactly what I think of that. The grains, if you want to call it, of rice for the hearts of palm rice are really kind of fine. So I think initially I got a little bit hung up on the texture, but flavor-wise, it's more neutral than cauliflower. But regardless, I think that for almost any sort of resistant starch thing that I've tested, there is a legitimate keto substitute. And I feel that trying to take these high carb foods and through some voodoo or science or whatever it is, make them low carb or make them resistant, it's kind of the equivalent of creating a pill for alcoholics that allows them to drink but not have as bad of a hangover. I don't know if that's a great metaphor or not, as someone who used to be quite the drinker. But all we're doing with this resistant starch thing, and yeah, it seems to work a little bit, we're taking something that's bad and shouldn't be probably part of a keto lifestyle and making it slightly less bad. And it was interesting to do in the name of science, but I'm done. I'm done doing those sort of videos with the blood glucose testing and all of that. Now, I will continue to test keto branded products just to see, are they really keto? Do they have some ingredient in it that is sort of a mystery ingredient, some miraculous thing that's supposed to make it taste wonderful and or sweet and or like bread or whatever it is? And does it spike my glucose? So I will continue to do those as part of reviews. Now, I've mentioned this before as well on some videos. If I do a product review and I don't show a blood glucose result, that means nothing happened. I mean, I wear a continuous glucose monitor, but to me, showing nothing happening is sort of a waste of time. So you can just sort of assume that if I try out a product and there's no glucose spike, there's not going to be any little screenshots out of the level software showing you no glucose spike. The other big thing with those videos, those resistant starch videos, is no matter how many iterations I do, people are always demanding more. You notice I said demanding, not asking, because people, for whatever reason on these videos, seem to think they can just issue commands to me, like, do it this way, you didn't do this, try this, and so on. And frankly, I don't like being bossed around all that much. And there's part of me that's considering turning off comments to those videos. But I don't know if I do that, if that wipes out all the previous comments, or if they stay. Maybe I'll leave it open. I don't know. I'd be curious to know if when you go to a video and you see that comments are disabled, what goes through your mind? Do you think, oh, wow, here's somebody who's a snowflake and he's too sensitive to handle comments or something, or what? I'd be curious to know. What do you feel when you see someone has got comments disabled? A question I get pretty frequently is, when are you going to come out with a cookbook? Or do you have a cookbook? The answer to the second question is no. The answer to the first question is I'm not sure. Part of it is to make a cookbook, I have to go back and revisit all these previous recipes that I've done. And that sort of takes away from time of creating new recipes. Additionally, I had a conversation with Carolyn Ketchum of All Day I Dream About Food, and she has released a handful of like physical cookbooks, and then she's also done some e-cookbooks. And she told me that she would probably never do a physical cookbook again. And the main reason for that is just dealing with publishers and editors and stuff like that. They make a lot of different demands. And I think she said that they required that 80% of the recipes in the cookbook be new. They can't be something that she's done a video on or put out on her website or anything like that. That's a pretty big ask to try and come up with a bunch of new stuff that I haven't shared with any of you. I mean, to me, that's my first priority, is sharing with you in videos. She went then and did an ebook and said it was just infinitely easier to do. So I've been looking at some different templates and trying to find something that's close enough to what I like, and then maybe something I can tweak. And then it's going to be a matter of just probably going in and remaking, oh gosh, probably 100 recipes. I don't know how big an ebook should be. And rephotographing, refotographing a lot of these, because a lot of my early recipes, especially, I did not do a great job on the thumbnail or any sort of food photography for it. So do something better on that. It allows me to go back and recheck the recipes on my website. And although it is probably going to be still a pretty significant administrative task for me, it's not nearly as big a deal as trying to create 80% new recipes. So my goal over the course of 2023 is probably at least 1 or 2 recipes per week that I will get into this template, get rephotographed, so that hopefully by Christmas time next year, there will be a Serious Keto e-cookbook. And I feel that maybe once I have the e-cookbook, then I just find somebody, a printer, somebody like that, who's willing to just take the PDF or whatever it is of my cookbook and make a physical copy, whether it's spiral bound or soft cover or something like that. But I feel that's a lot easier approach than trying to deal with a publisher right from the get-go. So that's a fairly long answer to the fairly short question, do you have a cookbook or are you going to make one? But it is my goal that in 2023 I do release some form of cookbook. The final thing I want to talk about during this podcast is something I talked about in last week's podcast, or from your perspective, last week's podcast, and that was self-image. And I've mentioned in the past on podcasts that in my life, there seems to be a lot of sort of strange coincidences or serendipitous events, or just the stars aligning, where I will be thinking about something or I will mention something in a podcast or something like that, and then other things happen that sort of support that. So let me give you the current example. When I talked about self-image last week in the podcast, 1 or 2 days later, I started reading this book right here, Think Like a Monk by Jay Shetty. And the very first chapter is called Identity. And the very first paragraph has a quote from Charles Horton Cooley. And I'm going to read it to you. And I had to read this like 6 times before I even started to understand it. So I'll read it to you, and then if you need to rewind the video and listen to me say it repeatedly before it starts to sink in, don't feel bad, because like I said, I had to read it 6 times. So Charles Horton Cooley wrote this in 1902. I am not who I think I am, and I am not who you think I am. I am what I think you think I am. So ponder that for a moment and then let your head go boosh. So Our self-identities, based on this quote, are not based on what we think we are, nor is it based on what others think we are. It is based on what we are assuming other people think of us. And that got me thinking, what if you could have an experiment where you could get the purest form of self-identification, untainted by anything? So you truly know what your self-image is without the influence of media, whether that's magazines or TV shows or movies or the internet telling you what's beautiful and what's noble and what's brave and all of these things. I don't know how you would actually do this particular experiment. You'd almost have to be raised like by robots or something, isolated from everybody else. And then without any outside influence, you'd be able to develop self-image. I don't know if we'd allow having mirrors so you could look at yourself and see what you look like. But if you have no idea what's appreciated as beauty or handsomeness or whatever adjectives we judge one another on, how would you judge yourself? How would you determine your self-image? And as I thought about this, I thought it would be how I feel. Do I feel physically and emotionally healthy? Do I have a sense of well-being? Am I free from pain? Am I happy? And it occurred to me that pre-keto, I wasn't any of those things. I wasn't happy, I wasn't fit, I didn't feel good, I was tired and achy and on a lot of different medications. Now, I know sometimes I kind of get a little bit wrapped up in all of the non-weight victories that come with keto. But this particular quote, and as I thought about it, it really, really brought it home to me. What should our self-image be? It shouldn't be necessarily how we look in the mirror. It shouldn't be the number on the scale. It shouldn't be the size pants or dress that we wear. It should be, do we feel healthy? Do we feel physically and emotionally healthy? And I personally, I thank keto for getting me to that place. I'm not that far away. I'm gonna have to look up the actual date, but I'm not that far away from my keto-versary, my 4 years of being keto. And I'll probably have to do some sort of special video at that time, really truly reflecting on what it's been like and why I love keto as much as I do. But give some thought to that quote. And if you've got anything especially profound that pops into your brain, feel free to leave a comment down below and let me know what you feel creates a great self-image. And with that, I am going to put a close to this particular video podcast. As always, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Thanks for watching. I know I said that twice, but I forgot to do the finger thing. Thanks for watching.